Jasnah and Kelsier are much more similar than you think. At first glance, this may seem strange, but I think after paying closer attention, you may be convinced that the Ghostbloods would look pretty similar whether it was Kelsier or Jasnah pulling the strings. Let's look at some of the very clear parallels between the characters, some arcs that they seem to share. Pay special attention to the lengths taken for each person. There will be some instances where Kelsier goes further than Jasnah, but just as many where Jasnah goes further than Kelsier. In the end, I would argue they just about even out. Kelsier, when visiting the rebellion, had Damu fight Bilge. Bilge was a large person, and very outspoken in his belief that the rebellion will never succeed. Kelsier had Damu fight Bilge to defend his honor, and using his allomancy, almost had Damu exterminate Bilge, but then at the last second changed his mind. This is nearly mirrored when Jasnah sets up Ruthar in Rhythm of War. Ruthar was the final High Prince speaking out against Jasnah, and so she has Wit mock Ruthar until he demands a trial by combat against Wit. Wit has Jasnah step in as his champion, who proceeds to deal a fatal blow, only to have Renarin heal Ruthar, sending a very clear message. Both provoked a fight against the Dissenter, had a champion fight, and brought the opposition face to face with their mortality at the hands of the one in charge. Following that, take into account the moral dilemma Jasnah faced Shallan with during Way of Kings. Jasnah intentionally put herself and Shallan in danger so that she had the opportunity to take out some thugs that had been terrorizing the street of Kharbranth. Kelsier intentionally puts himself in situations that allow him to assassinate as many nobles as possible. The reasoning is the exact same. If left to live, they will ruin the lives of even more people. The best good, therefore, is to take them out when the opportunity presents itself. And sometimes you need to create your own opportunity. They also have a willingness to sacrifice people for the greater good. When talking about a way to end the return of the fused, Jasnah is very quick to suggest sending a herald back to damnation. It being something they volunteer, while preferable, it's just seen as a plus for her, not a requirement. She is very willing to force it if need be. In that same vein, going back to Kelsier at the caverns, his own recklessness and willingness to deceive the army into thinking that he is imbuing them with power is what led them to their death. No, Kelsier didn't command it, but he gave the lies that brought them to their demise, and then took advantage of it. And that's the part I want to emphasize. They even have the same cracks in their armor. Kelsier and Jasnah both give off the air of do what needs to be done, but have a weakness when it comes to those closest to them. Twice, Kelsier almost threw everything away to try and save his friends. The first time he was stopped by Ven, but the second time he ignored her pleas, stating, "You have a lot to learn about friendship." This led to his eventual sacrifice at the hands of the Lord Ruler. And make no mistake, although the Lord Ruler appearing worked out for Kelsier in the long run, he was not planning on the Lord Ruler or the Steel Inquisitors to be there. Jasnah, when forced to decide between what she thought was best, murdering Renarin at the Battle of Thaylen Field, and sparing him, decided to go against what she thought was the greatest amount of good that could be done, and spare the not Adolin. During the end of Kelsier's first life, this even extended to the friends of his friends, which can be seen by him not just sparing, but trying to save Elend, a noble that he didn't trust, but knew how much the young noble meant to Ven. Kelsier in another story would easily be a villain. But he doesn't hate for hatred's sake. He isn't Moash. Don't get me wrong, the Roshar branch of the Ghostbloods goes too far. However, a book done from their perspective would probably paint them as an anti-hero. People that do some really questionable things, but for a reason that they believe is just. What Kelsier is doing, he is doing for the good of Scadrial. Imagine if Jasnah was in charge of a world-hopping organization. Do you not think that she'd be willing to look the other way on some distasteful things if what was best for Roshar, and by extension her family, would be the end result? This is the exact moral failing exploited by Odium that led to Jasnah failing to persuade Queen Finn that she was trustworthy. Because at the end of the day, Jasnah isn't someone you can trust. See, she's someone that does what she believes needs to be done, save for sacrificing the one she cares about. Now don't get me wrong, they do have some very clear differences, but